Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hear Me Out Pitch. Or if this is your first time, welcome to Hear Me Out Pitch. I'm Tim.
And I'm Willem.
And
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Holy crap. Happy New Year, everybody. First, it is the 8th. It's been a full week of 2025, and I'm feeling pretty good.
The world's not on fire. We're okay. We're halfway through the 2020s. And
Tim, you know what's happening in California right now, right?
California's always on fire.
Okay.
California doesn't count.
Oh my gosh.
California's never counted. When we're talking about the world being on fire, California's never counted.
Oh my gosh. To everyone in California, I'm sorry for my friends.
I'm kidding.
Outburst.
To all of you, kind of.
Oh my gosh. But seriously though, glad that it's been crazy how well everyone's been evacuated. It's been nuts, but well, moving on from that, because we try to be more upbeat here. So I asked, well, Tim surprised me. He's like, what are you going to do today? And I was like, oh, I'm just trying to think of some things. And then like an hour and a half before we came in, he was like, I got something. And I went, oh?
I had a good 45 minutes to an hour of downtime at work.
He doesn't do a lot. I'm just kidding. I
do a lot. The kid I was with was really good, and he was working on some stuff alone. And so I had time to... I should have used that time to work on my notes, but I took care of that after anyway. But I had an idea. I've had an idea, this kind of idea, for a minute.
Okay.
It's very... I know I've said before that I'm not the biggest fan of sci-fi, but
are we getting a Tim sci-fi story?
This is a sci-fi story.
It's gonna be Star Wars, isn't it?
It's not. Willem's gonna roll his eyes.
Oh. Wait, get ready.
But I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2 lately.
Oh my gosh.
You'd like it if you played it. If you gave it a chance, you'd love it. Telling you.
I'm just more like a hipster dude, and I'll just play it when it doesn't be so popular.
It's dying right now.
I know.
Anyway.
Good. I'm just kidding. Ethan, that was for you.
The premise of Destiny is it's space wizards, basically.
Star Wars.
There's, a bunch of aliens, and there's structures out there that are alien made.
Rings.
And you don't see a lot of what's in the lore. You read about it. It's kind of cool.
Okay.
Actually. But I had an idea, kind of what would happen if it was just humanity left. If kind of humanity was left alone, but we knew about the alien technology, and we'd had the alien technology for a while, and it kind of helped us advance. And I just been piecing small things together, and then this last week, I got talking with a buddy of mine, and he was like, you know what? A lot of movies and books don't have big sacrifices at the end. And I got thinking, and like, there's not a ton of movies where at the end of the movie it's a big sacrifice that saves everybody, but all of the main characters die. So keep that in mind for what we're gonna talk about.
You're gonna be mad at me. Rogue One.
Rogue One is the only one that I can think of.
I thought of a few, or at least where the main character dies.
Talking about all of the main characters. I'm talking about the entire crew.
I mean, Ethan's probably kicking when he listens to this, he's probably punching the air going, Halo ODST! Oh!
Reach, yeah.
Oh, Reach, yeah, sorry.
Reach.
Everyone, you can just kill me in the comments. It's fine.
You're not a big fan of shooters. I get it.
Ironically, it's funny because I was playing. I was before, like an hour before you came here. I turned on Battlefield World War I. So
you would love Destiny. I'm telling you.
You
would love it.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Comments flame him.
No,
Tell him to play it.
No, I like a good campaign and playing by myself. So
you can do that, Destiny. You can play on your own or with people. When the campaign gets too hard from single player, then you ask your buddy to join you and
that's true.
Kick the bad guy's butt.
That's true. And then you just get all the loot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Older brother complex sort of thing. Help me with this. Okay.
Anyway,
Ethan, I'm not asking you to help. Just kidding.
He's asking me to help.
No.
He'd be so mad.
He'd be so mad. That's going on a clip.
Anyway, this story would take place a good several hundred years in the future, Earth's future.
Maybe even 1,000.
Maybe a while. Maybe not 1,000. A couple hundred. I mean, in the last 50 years, we've gone from you have a brick as a phone to now I can get a pair of glasses that can play a movie for me in the corner while I'm walking down the street, and that can make phone calls.
Even compared to when I was a kid. Compared to when you were born. That's insane.
Compared to even 10 years ago.
Yep.
Like, we're making some crazy technological advances. And kind of the point of this is that it's what would happen if we encountered kind of an alien sort of technology that we grew to understand and could use. So hold on. I pulled up the wrong.
Darn it! We almost got D&D notes. I was going to get it. Spoilers.
It was my D&D notes.
I knew it. It's getting good. Oh, I'm nervous.
Got it. I got it. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, that was my D&D notes, and I was about to start reading off stuff for that. Which,
Willem's character is dead. What?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna silence my phone. That's what I'm gonna do.
Putting that in the note to take that out of Tim's pay. All right. Okay.
What pay?
Quiet.
I don't get paid.
You get paid with food.
That's true. You're gonna feed me with one less French fry.
Yeah. The food is gonna be subpar now, Tim.
Oh, I mean, subpar in comparison to what you make is still pretty darn good.
Jeez. People are going to think I'm like, okay, quiet. Stop it.
This man can cook.
No. Maybe.
Anyway. Sorry. I've got 9 pages of notes for this story. And I think it'll be fun. Let's just get into it, I guess.
Let's get into it. I'm excited.
I guess basically how this story would go. It's called Ecliptica, is kind of the name I came up with, taking Eclipse and tweaking it a little bit,
making it sound sci-fi,
because it sounds sci-fi and kind of cool.
That better be the name of the ship.
It's not a ship.
Planet?
No, basically there's kind of an interstellar network powered by objects called ecliptic nodes, which is basically just ancient alien tech that allows for instantaneous transportation of matter across galaxies. Teleportation. It allows for, us to be sitting at this table, and then we activate it and it teleports us elsewhere 10 billion light years away.
Jeez, that's a thought. Ugh.
Yeah. So humanity would thrive as part of this network. There would be other groups of alien life that we would we would briefly see. We wouldn't see much of this alien life outside of maybe the first 20 minutes. But yeah, basically, humanity would thrive on this network, and it would just be trade. We'd have new materials to build our ships, new information to create, to work around certain elements and work with other crazy, weird sci-fi stuff. And then, yeah, basically these nodes, I imagine they're probably about the size of like a soccer ball.
Okay.
They just kind of hover in the air. They would have 4 concave sides around the equator. Again, just to look sci-fi-y.
You gotta have the sci-fi-y look.
Gotta be sci-fi-ish.
It's gotta be, actually, if it's concave, then that means you wouldn't be interested.
But these nodes basically pop up kind of almost an interface connecting to other nodes.
Okay.
And so there would be kind of a facility working on keeping track of the nodes, where they are, who's using them, that kind of stuff. Kind of to monitor traffic between galaxies, intergalactic travel. And mind you, every single one of these nodes is going to be, not every single one, but every group of nodes is going to be galaxies away.
That's just blowing my mind. Sorry, I'm just like
kind of weird.
Like I think about Star Trek, and it's like, you gotta realize, like the first people who started light traveling, they were time traveling. They would end up just light years away. They get back finally, and then like what is it? Interstellar? Never seen that. Is it good?
I haven't seen it either.
Oh, movie night.
I need to. The soundtrack for that movie is gorgeous. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Anyway.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. The first 20 minutes would kind of set up this, explaining what the nodes are, what they do, kind of how they function, as well as kind of introducing our main characters. We have 4. Yes, 4 main characters. I'll admit I used AI to come up with names.
Oh, boo. I'm just kidding.
Just names, not anything else, because I don't believe in using AI for more than it needs to. Mm-hmm. And I'm creative enough. But yeah, the key characters, main characters, would be Dr. Ilara Quinn. She would be like an astrobiologist, someone who studies life on other planets and stuff.
Okay.
She'd be very skeptical of all alien technology, and we would learn in the movie somewhere that one of her parents, probably her dad, worked on setting up these nodes, and there was an accident and he was killed. And that's why she doesn't trust the alien tech. But she's an astrobiologist. She goes to other worlds, and she explores and experiences life on other planets. Then we'd have Captus Marcus Vren. He's more kind of the leader of this group. And he has to make a lot of impossible choices. He's used to making hard choices, and so he's very pragmatic, very logical person. And then there would be Kara Sen, who she's an engineer. who just kind of understands. She just gets it. She understands the alien tech. It just makes sense to her. And then, of course, because it's sci-fi, we would have Unit 7X, which is a sentient AI that assists in the mission.
Does it look human?
He looks fairly human.
Are we going to have an alien moment? Now, you probably haven't seen any of the alien movies, but there's always an android that looks human. And in some of the movies, they don't know which one of them is.
Oh, he doesn't look human. Imagine Sonny from...
Okay, iRobot.
iRobot. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
More like that, where maybe a little more robot than human.
Okay.
But like, he's a sentient AI. His loyalty to mankind is very well known. Like, he's put his life ahead of humanity multiple times, and it's always worked out. And yeah.
So Tim, really quick, just to kind of get a question out there though, is, and I'm not trying to, my question is, what are you going to do and how can I help so that we're not making a run-of-the-mill Star Trek adventure? Because it's hard.
I've got the story ready. This would be more... I'm trying to think of any... I don't care for sci-fi. It's not my favorite genre. But like, I'm trying to think of stories. I've never seen Interstellar, so I don't know quite how that goes. I don't know.
You're not a Trekkie?
My middle name is Kirk.
That's about it. You're not named after Captain Kirk, though, right?
No.
Okay.
No, my middle name is my dad's middle name. My dad was named, from what I remember, he was named after a family friend.
Okay, love it. Sorry for I think my thoughts really quick are just, it's when we're doing these. This is a genre. We'd say this is a genre. When you do a genre, it's so hard to be like, oh, and it's funny because
it's hard to be original.
Yeah, it is, and I get that because, and this is where the argument of like no original idea comes forward. Like, well, you're right, because typically we as humans are going to do similar things. Like me and you were talking about the Odyssey earlier today, and it's just funny because humans are just going to go on an epic quest and do stuff, and Interstellar has an epic quest, and Star Wars has epic quests.
Well, and I mentioned that I was inspired by Destiny earlier as well. Yeah. And so, yeah, that is one thing with this genre in particular, with sci-fi. It's very difficult when you get into the interstellar travel kind of stuff. It's very difficult to be original.
It is. So, and I'm just saying that I just want to let them know, like, we recognize that some of these ideas and some of these stories come up with, you might just go, this is something I've heard before, but we do our best to just go with it. And this is something that struck Tim, so I'm excited to run with it.
Well, and here's the thing. If this has been done before, if a lot of the ideas that I'm pitching sound very familiar...
Not on purpose.
It's not on purpose. This is about 45 minutes worth of cobbling together after a couple weeks of thinking.
Yeah.
Of just ideas. I've got a couple more ideas like this that I would like to flesh out a little bit better.
Okay.
To make things make sense before I pitch them here.
Ooh, maybe I know that you want to get it going. Maybe here's one question we've kind of asked in previous episodes, Wayne the Bast. What emotions are we gonna try to hope to get?
The main two are hope and sadness. That's my main two for this.
Okay. That's right, because this group isn't gonna. So spoilers.
Spoiler alert. This entire crew does not survive.
Okay. So how can we? You're right. How can we make this? Okay. All right. You know what? Nope. So, I'm just kind of like we recognize it. I just want to make that clear with these guys. Like, we recognize that you might find this familiar, and that's okay.
Well, and while we're going through, again, this is super rough. Like, this is more rough than some of my other ideas that I've pitched.
Yeah.
But I actually have a skeleton. Like, I have a full skeleton.
I would hope you have a
thing.
skeleton, Tim, and you're not just some pudding monster.
I have a full skeleton for this story.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Okay.
I just imagine you a little pudding guy. Help me. Sorry.
Anyway.
Before he's so rudely interrupted.
So that's our main characters. There's just the main four. There'll be other characters around. I haven't named any of them. I don't really care to. They're not my focus.
That's fine.
But yeah, basically these nodes, right? These ecliptic nodes have the technology to connect to each other and allow for interdimensional travel. Not interdimensional, intergalactic, instantaneous teleportation. And we're going to start with our first 5 minutes is going to be explaining these nodes, and then maybe 20 minutes introducing the nodes, introducing our main characters and their lives and kind of who they are, what they stand for, how they fit. And it'll also introduce the beginnings of the plot. This basically there'll be a big monitor that just has a list of every node and kind of a symbol name attached to each one. Kind of like at the airport, right? Mm-hmm. You have the flight numbers, and where they're going. Mm-hmm. It'll be very similar to that.
Okay.
And after introducing stuff, we'll see a new node pop up, and its location is unknown.
Okay.
And it'll have coordinates and stuff, and they'll look into it. People will look into it across the universe. It'll be sent out throughout, and they'll determine that this node was activated near on a megastructure near a dying star. And that's where our our main characters will come in. They will have been handpicked, right? So
they've never met?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I'm imagining, you've mentioned that
the captain and the AI will have met, but that's it. The captain handpicks the AI. The rest of this kind of intergalactic council picks the others.
So each node has become its own sector, its own area. So are we to think that possibly there are wars between these nodes? Because again, you're saying not really aliens is the focus of this movie. It's the focus of humanity.
If we end up, and I share this belief with a lot of people, including Mr. Tyson, the great astrophysicist, the great physicist. He said that if we get to a point where we are technologically advanced and just advanced enough as a people, war isn't going to be a thing. We'll put that behind us because we don't need it.
Oh, I've read a totally different story with Red Rising, and
I feel like personally, if we had other civilizations and we're at a point where humanity has evolved mentally, emotionally, structurally enough to get to the point where we are with other cultures in the universe, I don't think war is going to be our immediate response.
Well, of course. So aliens are of this story, but you made it kind of appear that you wanted the focus to be like humans accept that there's
humanity
aliens
to be separate.
okay, and that's what I'm saying is if aliens were so, because it's the galaxy's huge, and we can go for so long without even seeing anything. Even if we were able to go billions, we could still not see life. So the point I'm making is, what if we were at this point where we still haven't had those full interactions? We like, of course, we found this alien technology, we grew from it, but I just feel like if there isn't a threat yet of aliens, or there isn't like we haven't made a they versus us mentality, I feel like humans would start getting weird. But we don't need to have that in this story. But I'm just saying, my personal opinion is, until you physically find and this is just how I see. I love people. I think they're great, but I also understand that we like to draw lines between us versus them. Tim likes Destiny. I don't. We could probably rally like 50 people on the group chat. So yes, start a war in the comments. Destiny versus no Destiny players.
Let's not start a war in the comments.
Point being is, so to be clear, you would like it, the idea that humanity, is advanced enough that we like aliens are probably there. Maybe they've had a few interactions and it kind of helped. So maybe it's at this weird point where they're like, hey, there most likely there are aliens. We prove it with this. And there's like a gap of, we're at a kind of a weird gap of peace right now.
What I'm wanting is an empty alien spaceship was found on the far side of one of our planets in the solar system. We retrieved it, collected the technology within, took 50 years to understand it, and then we created that's why a couple hundred years, like 2250, maybe 2300, somewhere around that range. Took us time to understand it, and then it's taken us.
Ooh.
And we got to a point, and maybe there was in past, maybe it's mentioned briefly that there was an intergalactic conflict that was sorted out with a treaty that involved this group. It would be members of many different planets, and that would be this intergalactic council that is in charge of keeping track of the nodes.
So humanity is part of this council?
Yes. Humanity would be part of the council. There would be others. It would really just be kind of everybody, almost like an intergalactic NATO.
Okay. Okay, so the point of this is we are not yet. So there probably are. Okay, so I imagine that it would be cool. I like world building. I like this sort of stuff. We all know that. I like asking the questions because I'm just imagining that. I don't know if anyone has seen like my little speaker here. I've been imagining it's like this big, little speaker head.
About that big.
Here, I'll take the thought. A little puffball here. It's backwards.
Size of your head.
My head. But I imagine after they like worked on this for years, they click it and they have it and all this alien language comes up on one of their monitors and they just see little dots throughout the galaxy and they're like, what do you think those are? And they're like, that must be these things. And they can have a quick scene of one of the scientists, maybe that girl's dad. And he just gets sucked into it. I don't know. Point being is, I just wanted to set the tone of humanity is chill with itself. There's no conflict between humanity, and this is not about anything like that. I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah.
For my,
we've had enough sci-fi stories where it is about war. I mean, literally, Star Wars is a thing, right? Where it's different
where all
planets
my Red Rising fans
fighting and right? We've got Independence Day. We've got a ton of those.
Love it.
I haven't seen it.
I
know. I'm aware. I'm aware. I'm getting there. It's on my list.
It's a good one.
I know.
You've seen iRobot though,
yes.
Right? You've seen that one?
Yes.
Okay.
And I Am Legend and
wow. You've seen I Am Legend before Independence Day? It's funny how all those movies start with an I. Mm-hmm. He really likes I.
Yeah, Will Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry, everybody.
Really, I want to focus more on what issues there might be outside of
This council?
conflict.
Oh, okay.
Outside of conflict between different races. We've had enough racism between Star Wars, right? We've got the racism in there. We've got our own human history. We've got other stories.
We got issues of today. It's
I don't want to focus on it. I think it's been touched on enough. And I personally would like something different. So that's what I've written, is something different.
and that is okay.
I hope so.
It is okay. It is okay to bring up different. Every story should have a lesson, and every story should hint at it. And I think that that's fine. So now I'm just curious, what's the big MacGuffin? So,
right. So they found this node near a dying star. It's at the very end, the last couple of years of its life cycle.
so it's
It's about to go.
Ew.
And we've got our crew. They've been gathered together to go and explore it. Other crews have similarly been put together. This is just the one that they've decided to put in charge of this crew or this mission. They will travel to this. They'll travel to this node, and they will find. They'll travel between the nodes, right? From the node in the big laboratory, the big space station, wherever they are, and they'll travel to just a plain white room. And in this plain white room, there will be another one of these teleporters. I'm imagining like a platform, right? Platform with kind of a framework with the node at the top.
Okay. Like a disco ball?
Not really a disco ball, almost like the keystone of
An arch. Okay. Oh, okay. I like that. That was a good way to say it, because I totally just imagine like it comes down from the ceiling, starts playing music, like, oh, get fucking with it, and they're gone, and then they end up in a dance pose on the other side of the galaxy. I'd do it like that.
No, it's more kind of my version of a Stargate, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Where they walk through, they activate it, portal opens, they walk through. It's kind of what I'm imagining.
Okay.
And then they get there, and the node on their end starts to malfunction. They can see it like sparking a little bit. And immediately they're on high alert. They try to go back through and they can't. So they're stuck. So they decide to go and explore after some arguing and some deliberation amongst themselves.
So remind me of you said 3 characters or 5?
4.
4.
You 3 or 5. Nope, that was 4.
It was 4, because there's a robot.
Yes. So there's Dr. Quinn. She's the astrobiologist.
Lost her father.
Yes. There's Captain Vren.
Leader. And I'm totally imagining Chris Pratt. It's so bad.
I'm stuck between Vren or Vent.
I like Vren.
And then there was Kara. She was the engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Unit 7X.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining Chris Pratt, Lara Croft, and someone else. Because Lara Croft lost her dad, and that's all who I've been imagining is the most recent Lara Croft adaptation. So.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the crew, they'll start to explore as they are now stranded in an unknown region of space, billions of light years from Earth. From the Milky Way, and they will find a megastructure, and they'll find different languages scattered around on different there'll be different like signage, and there will be a bunch of different languages, including English.
Including English? Okay.
And our Unit 7X will remark that he recognizes a handful of these languages. You know, they all say the same thing, and they just kind of, there's a sign for a laboratory, there's signage for a mess hall, there's signage for an engine room, and they look out a big window and they can see just this massive mega structure that they're on. And I imagine it very similar to kind of how an atom looks, right? Where you got the big ball in the center and then there's the rings going around it.
Okay.
I imagine there being the kind of the classic depiction, right? There's the center ring going around the equator, and then there's two others. I imagine there being those three rings, and then they're all connected, and they're spinning slowly around each other, and in the center, in the nexus, is just kind of like this space station looking ball hanging there, and they're on one of the rings, and they will find, eventually they'll find a sign, a big lettering around one of the rings that says Ecliptica Nexus, and they'll find that they'll keep exploring around, and they will find, just throughout this little bit, they will find several rooms full of these nodes, kind of almost like trying to figure out how to describe it. Basically, just nodes sitting in these little pods on the wall, along the wall.
Okay.
They're there to be sent across the galaxy to connect everything. Anyway, so they will start exploring the Ecliptica Nexus, and doors will open automatically for them, kind of the Star Wars style.
Got it.
And other stuff, like there'll be some monitors and stuff that'll pop up with little messages, revealing different things about certain different rooms. And one of the crew, the engineer Kara, will mention something about how it seems almost like this thing's alive. This place is alive and thinking, and trying to interact with them. Anyway, they will basically, throughout this movie, what we're gonna find out is that this dying star is the center of the universe. It was the Big Bang, and it's preparing for another Big Bang. So they would need to prevent that if they wanted to prevent.
So this is the beginning,
Yeah.
the origin, the everything, the alpha of all alphas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
that hurts my brain, but yeah. I can jive with that.
And around this station, they'll find elements, remnants of the lost crew, the original crews of this place. They'll find helmets scattered around.
So this place
clothing.
is so old.
It's old, yes.
We can't even fathom it on our time.
On our time, no. This is
ridiculous.
Trillions, even quadrillions of years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be cool. So I'm guessing that the whole it's not alive, but it's like an AI.
Yeah.
It's something.
It's semi-sentient, I guess would be a good way to put it.
And it's old.
Yeah. And the thing is, they would understand, the crew, after a while, this place would start to test them, and in different ways. Not entirely sure how. I just thought it'd be cool if this place was smart enough to test them to see if they were worthy of preventing the end of the universe, instead of furthering it, speeding it up.
Okay. I'm having a very... I would like to preface, I am a believing Christian, but a part of my mind went very scientific fun route and just said, take away all the gods for a second. All gods. Take it all away. Make this machine God.
No.
No?
No. More...
Not like it made things happen, but when this...
I imagine it's more this thing understands its purpose.
Mm-hmm. And what is its purpose?
To connect the universe and to protect it.
Okay. Again, I think
that's why, well, it'll be revealed that's why it activated the broken node, the only active node on the entire station.
So why was there English?
Because this thing understands all languages, and I like to think that whatever species built this place tried to create as many languages as possible and tried to anticipate, and maybe time travel was involved a little bit.
I could see it as it's so smart, and if it's as old as you say, I don't.
Yeah. All of the signage, by the way, it's not solid signage. This is changing. They're screens.
And yeah, that'd be cool. I just imagine like and the screens look off. They look different. It's like that's a screen, but yet why is it so? What if it's like shifting, not a screen, but like just this weird. I don't know how to describe it, but it shifts, and you see like certain writing, and it starts. And like I imagine what Eve does to Wally. It's like, and it's like just trying to find it, and they're like talking. They're trying to interact with it, and it'd be funny if they're like, "What is it doing?" And the AI and the robot, he just goes, "It is trying to find our language in its database," and you're like, "What? That's ridiculous." And then finally, like, gets closer and starts speaking Japanese. Like, whoa, what the? And then it's just going, then English. Hello there. And you're like, wow.
Yeah. Well, and I imagine, right, if this actually ever became a movie, like, in other languages, if this movie was made in German, it would be German that comes up. Or in Japanese, it would be Japanese that comes up.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be, and it'd just be really cool for them for this thing to just. And so are you going, now that we're kind of delving into this very old AI, are we going to kind of go with, you've never seen Odyssey 2001 Odyssey with HAL? HAL is the AI of a ship, and it like traps the crew, and it's like hello, and it's very smart. And where are we gonna go that route? Is it going to be very sinister, or is this going to sound?
It's not going to be sinister. It's going to be,
because you're this close to making an awesome horror movie. You're this close. Yes. I hope you realize that. Like, you don't like horror, but this is like alien type of sci-fi. To me, has very much some of the best potential to be horror. I've always wanted to see horror in a fantasy vibe. Like, I'm talking like zombies invade elves, and like the main characters are elves. Like, always wanted something like that. But beside the point is, what do you want the vibe to be? Because you just say one word and we can make this terrifying.
I don't want it to be terrifying.
Dang it.
I don't like horror.
But I hope you realize that you were this. The Star Wars meme? I'm going to put it right here. This close. Mm-hmm. We were this close to something great.
My vision for this AI would be a very very smart machine that is trying to protect its assets, and its assets being the universe.
I know you're trying. I know you kind of said dished off the know, and this thing doesn't have to be God. Like it's the one that made the universes, but like it's a benevolent.
Yes,
like it's almost benevolent. Like this thing loves us.
It is trying its hardest to, I guess, really just protect everybody, and that might include putting people in harm's way. Yeah, right.
It can, I think I do say that I'm imagining it talks like the burning bush from The Prince of Egypt, with the many, many, many voices kind of overlapping it.
I've been imagining it as almost a very soft, feminine kind of voice. It's just very, very quiet.
Let's meet in the middle. Just overlap male, soft female voices.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I just imagine I want it to sound like they don't know. It's not.
I was kind of what I was going for was almost like a matronly type protector.
And the thing is, I thought of fatherly the second you started talking about it. Yeah. Like I'm like,
so
it's
we'll be
fatherly.
in the middle. We'll do
I think so. Just this. So voices. What's the name? What is the name of this AI?
Nexus.
Oh,
just called Nexus. They are the nexus of the galaxy, the nexus of these nodes, of these ecliptic nodes.
I am now thinking of the sibling, and that's all I'm going to say.
Kinda. Maybe a little bit, kinda. Yeah.
Oh, man.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Okay, so Nexus is trying to stop the end of everything.
Basically. And really how it would be put, it's less vocal until a little bit later. We'd get probably halfway through the movie before they
meet Nexus.
Nexus will be trying them.
Is Nexus going to die?
You'll just have to wait and see.
Whoa, hold on a second. I'm not the audience. I'm trying to plan this out with you. Ish. Okay, you're right.
Kind of. Part of Nexus will die.
Okay, I do. Okay, when it gets to that part, I hope that me and you kind of have the same thought with something.
We'll get there.
I think I can smell what you're stepping in, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Or at least just one scene. I want it.
Yeah. But yeah, we would get through a decent way through the movie. There would be it would be very, very surreal, just imagery, and yeah, the crew would be able to after a little bit, for all of you Destiny fans, another image that I'm trying to put away, but I just can't. Failsafe. If you know, you know. It's another AI in Destiny. That's her emotion regulator. She can switch it on and off, and she's a very sarcastic thing. She's hilarious.
Do you want Nexus to be sarcastic?
No. That's just the image that was going through my head. I'm imagining 7X would be a little bit sarcastic.
I've been imagining him as the big robot from Rogue One. Somewhat. And again, it's funny because
kind of.
Because Sunny and him are played by the same person.
Yeah, that is kind of the vibe I was kind of going for. Very, very humanized robot.
So can they visually see Nexus moving around? Can they see, does Nexus open doors?
Yes, Nexus is the one opening doors, putting up messages. Once they'll get to the end of one of these rings, and it'll be just this big ball.
And that's Nexus.
Like an atom. No. This would be kind of almost like the electrons of the atom.
Okay.
And this would be a transition point from one ring to the next, to the other two rings. This ring would be much more of kind of the housing and the node creation, repair, moderation type thing. They'll find another very similar series of panels as the ones on Earth, or wherever they have it. Could be a space station, where it shows the location of every node that's active, and these screens would have the active ones, and scattered between, probably by eight times, maybe 10 times as many, there will be grayed out ones, showing that there are a lot more of these nodes that are inactive, whether that be just they're broken, or that they've been switched off, or they're not connected to a teleporter or whatever. But yeah, so that is one scene that I would want, and then I would want X7 or 7X to connect to that and kind of download it. I've been imagining like he's going around and there's these little terminals, and he's downloading information to retain it, R2D2 style.
I would imagine that the first time he tries it, it's like something is stopping me, and then that's maybe when they first meet Nexus. Just his voice comes. It's rude to take what is not yours, or something. Like it starts like yelling in other languages. It'd be
something like that.
And it'd be funny.
But yeah, so they'd meet Nexus. Nexus would tell them that this star, known as the Nexus star, is only, it's uncertain if it's months or years away from erupting, but it is ready to explode, ready to die, and with it a new Big Bang, basically like a hard reset of the universe. And so now they're on all high alert, trying to figure out, okay, now what? How do we stop this? How do we prevent this? So they'll manage to decipher the true purpose of the Ecliptica Nexus, which is basically just like a fail-safe system meant to regulate the balance between life and entropy across the universe. And that includes the destruction of the universe, which is this Nexus star. It would explode and kill everything. It would explode with such force that it would
set off a reaction,
bend the fabric of time-space enough to kind of wipe out the entire universe fairly quickly, faster than the speed of light.
It would be a snap.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a big bang.
Yep.
I like it, Tim. I don't care if the science doesn't make too much sense. That's the fun of sci-fi.
It's sci-fi. It doesn't have to make sense.
But it's still, though, it's the idea of like, there was a bang and life began.
Mm-hmm.
There will be another bang and life will end. And it begs the question, though, wait a minute, were they not able to stop it before? Like, that's just kind of the thing, like, oh,
right.
And you're just like, and that would be,
Mm-hmm.
No, okay, I don't want to say that Nexus was in the first, before the bang, but I would just want to say, like, that'd be cool to, like, just hint at it briefly, like, don't even say it, but just hint, like, the possibility that, oh, Nexus could be,
maybe Nexus mentions something, just an offhanded comment during a conversation where she says something.
I don't want to fail again.
Maybe that, or maybe this wouldn't be just the second Big Bang. We don't know how many came before, how many times this has happened.
Maybe they'll say that, but then when, I'll just say near the end, with a dramatic finish or something, I would want Nexus to hint, like, I don't want to fail again. Like, just very brief, very briefly.
And
it's just, like, hinted, like, Oh my gosh. And again, I know y'all are like, Willem, let go that Nexus is God. You're right. Quiet. I like mixing Christianity. I like mixing religion and sci-fi. It's one of my favorite things to do. I'm weird like that. Quiet. I was a sci-fi nerd before I was a Christian. Quiet. I'll be honest. I enjoyed more of sci-fi and the stars. So then I grew up more, and I slowly, yeah. Anyway, I just would like to hint that I like the idea that this benevolent old AI just loves us all so much and has been connecting and interacting and and has set things in motion over time. Like, to me, I just can't help to think that that's what a being would do. Like, it would be funny if one of them was religious and they meet Nexus and they're like, are you God? I just imagine one of them is like, are you God? And then Nexus is like, I'm not that old, or says something ridiculous like that. Like, I'm not that old. And you're like, wait a minute. Just Nexus says something, and you just see the captain in the corner of the room like drop something or spit out coffee because Nexus made them all this glorious food. Like, imagine they're eating food and Nexus has all these robots making them food, and it's delicious. And like, how are you making food?
I've been imagining it's empty aside from the crew. Yeah, and like Nexus is just talking to them through screens. Well, there's no robots.
Okay, then they can work he, she, however. I'm gonna just say Nexus is whatever we say because Nexus is Nexus. But I imagine that Nexus makes them food though, like in the kitchen somehow. Like they pass through all the equipment, or they just have a meal. I just imagine one point there has to be a meal.
Yeah, I would think, again, just thinking about where we would be at that far in the future. Food and rations would probably just be almost like ration sticks.
Well, think of how cool it would be if Nexus could just make them just a meal somehow. And the thing is, I'm assuming Nexus knows this crew is going to die.
They kind of, they'll be figuring it out too.
And that's why I would want Nexus to make them like a last meal. They celebrate with them, and
yeah.
I want it to be, do we want it to feel like a betrayal, or is it one of those things where
it's not a betrayal?
The captain kind of says, all right, so we haven't been saying the quiet part out loud. We're not coming home from this, are we, Nexus? And Nexus is like,
no. Yeah, we would have a conversation like that somewhere toward the end. There would be some conflict between the members, we could either basically it's going to come down to one of two things. We can either figure out a way home where we can be with our loved ones when we all die, or we try and most likely fail to stop this while we die.
Okay.
It's kind of a choice, and the captain would be the one to kind of say, all right, no, if there's a chance, we have to take it. And then everyone will kind of be on board with that.
I feel like the woman whose father, she would be the Captain Quinn. So I feel like Dr. Quinn. Dr. Quinn would be the most hesitant.
I think Dr. Quinn would be the most hesitant to trust Nexus. Just because Nexus is basically the reason that her dad died.
So I do want to ask though, can we have, and it might be cheesy, I don't care, can we have it that her father was with Nexus at one point? Because I've been imagining that.
Sure. Yeah, actually that would fit in pretty well. Yes. Dr. Quinn would be talking. They haven't addressed each other by their names, except, they've only been calling each other by their titles, except Kara, because she doesn't have a title. She's an engineer.
I feel like Nexus, though, somehow would just know all of their names in a weird way.
I think here's what it would be. They would start having an argument. That argument. We're not going home. We need to figure out a way home. We can't go home. There's a chance, right? And the captain will say, Dr. Quinn, you need, this is an order, you need to stay.
And so does she want to find her father, or what is her intentions? Has she always been a believer that her father didn't die?
No, she's always been a believer that he's gone.
Okay.
But at that point, when her name is brought up, Dr. Quinn, I keep almost calling Nexus failsafe. Thanks, Destiny.
Boo.
Basically, Nexus will say, Dr. Quinn, you say, as in so-and-so Quinn, maybe Dr. like Isaac Quinn, something like that. And
I'm thinking Kyle for some reason.
Dr. Kyle Quinn. Dr. Harleen Quinn.
Quiet.
No.
That is why the
Dr. Kyle
that's why the name Kyle came up. To be honest. Oh yeah. I like the Y. I like the Y with the with the Quinn. It's just my brain. Anyway.
Yeah. Kyle Quinn, sure. Dr. Kyle Quinn, and she'll be like, how do you know my dad? It's because you killed him? And Nexus will say, no, I brought him here in the beginning of Earth discovering the nodes. And, you know, he's been long dead, but he was working on a way. I brought him here so that he could help me figure this out, as I've brought hundreds before. And he may have cracked it, but I haven't been able to access his workspace. And so then it'll be a good 10-15 minutes of them trying to get there. But at this point, like, there's some damage to one of the rings, and that's the ring that he was working on. That's why Nexus hasn't been able to get there. And at one point, they have to jump. Basically, they have to platform across these different floating bits where there's just empty space all around them. Again, Destiny, it's kind of the spacewalk in Deepstone Crypt.
Nerd.
Yep. I think you would absolutely love that raid.
They want me so bad.
We do. You'd love it. I'm telling you.
We'll see.
But yeah, so there would be that, and that would be cause of some panic. They'd have to problem solve, figure out a way across. They'd get across, get into the station, or into this kind of laboratory where they would find a skeleton. Not skeleton. They would find an empty, pseudo-empty suit. And the name tag would be Dr. Quinn.
You have to have the cheesy part, though. She'll like be sitting there, kind of like they'll be looking around, and I imagine like the captain, and she's just kind of going through all her father's notes, because, you know, he had to have something, and I imagine the captain, or what's the
Kara.
I imagine Kara would be the perfect one. Kara's just sitting there, you know, I imagine she's just the cute one. Again, she probably would have asked Nexus, "Are you God?" You know, I imagine like, and she just kneels down, and she's kind of like touching. She like goes over, and we don't need to. It's space. It works. They've probably finally sealed it, but she kind of, you know, she builds up the courage, her alone. Kara wipes it away, and we just see her father just resting there, and she kind of like looks down, and
he wouldn't have decomposed.
Yeah. So I just imagine though that Kara's looking, and she kind of like just goes, "It's good to meet you, doctor," and she just kind of she's just this very sweet character. Like they kind of roll their eyes because of how sweet she is, like that. I've been imagining. Oh my goodness, the engineer from Atlantis. That's who I've been imagining in my head. And she kind of touches something, and all of a sudden, from the wrist strap comes an image of the doctor, and he calls out for his daughter and say, "This is. I doubt you'll ever see this, sweetie."
Final log.
Yeah, final log. Like for the last, he's like, final log of Dr. Quinn, of Dr. Kyla Quinn. All I can think of is my sweet daughter, who is turning 8, and she's not with her daddy, but wherever she is, I just hope she knows I love her. And you're like, oh gosh. And so it'd be cute.
Mm-hmm.
That scene, I think that would be just lovely. Because again, you want sad, that's sad. But you also want hope, that's hopeful. So I imagine we have a leader, a skeptic, a hopeful young engineer, and then we have the sassy robot.
The sassy AI.
Sassy AI.
Yeah.
Perfect. I just imagine that. I feel like every time the doctor says something, the captain says something, the doctor like kind of undermines him. I'm guessing no romance, no nothing. This is all just
all work.
All work.
It's the mission or nothing.
All work. No play. All right. Got it. But yeah.
Yeah. I think
her father being
being there would be good. And yeah, he wouldn't have decomposed. He'd just be asleep forever.
He'd just be looking like that.
And she, Dr. Quinn would take a moment and find in his hands he'd have a little data stick, kind of Star Wars style, just a data stick that she could plug into one of the computer frames outside. So they have to platform back. They make it back just fine. After a couple close calls, maybe she drops it into the vacuum of space and they have to figure out a way to get it without losing each other. Something suspenseful.
It would be the thing where we thought we lose the AI, like something crashes, because again the rings are. You say the Nexus is kind of falling apart, and also there's a giant kind of black hole thing happening, and it's
a star that is slowly expanding. It's slowly expanding, and it's getting to the point where it is.
I imagine it would be affecting. It would be
exploding.
Affecting them. I feel like it would be affecting Nexus, and I just imagine at one point they just bam, looks like the robot. What's his name?
7X.
7X just gets blown away. They're like, oh my gosh! And when they lose the floppy disk near the end, like they're all. I just imagine you say data stick. I'm thinking floppy disk, whatever. But age different. Yeah, there's a little age gap there.
At least I know what a floppy disk is.
You're right. I actually had to turn in. Until 2004, I was still putting homework assignments on a floppy disk to turn it in just for my computer science class. But then a year later, we had all officially moved to USBs. Mm-hmm. Anyway, again, though, that's really cool about the science thing. So that is crazy to think about sometimes. But point being is epic. Like they make it. The doctor is holding it. She does this final leap. And Captain's holding on. He's holding Maria?
Kara.
No, Kara. Wow. That's the never mind.
It's a little far away.
A little far away. I'm terrible with names. And she's holding Kara to like reach out. She grabs it and it again something just from the giant expanding star.
They see just like a giant sun flare.
Yep. Flings the disc out of her hand. It goes flying, whatever, or even just out of her suit.
Shakes the whole station and
shakes
it. Grip.
And then they see it flying off, and this metallic hand comes out of nowhere. Bing! And he's just
grabs it, and he's wrapped around his foot is just a cable.
Yep. And he goes, "I have returned." Something silly like that.
It's me. Oh hey.
Oh hey.
Come here.
Did you drop this? They're like. Captain looks down. Okay, I am glad you guys put that emotion sense. I imagined Kara. Is it Kara? Kara was like messing with him. Like, I'm gonna make your personality a little more chipper.
On the treadmill in the waiting room, waiting to go.
Yeah,
waiting to travel.
And it's like, no, I am not dealing with some sassy. Like, no, you're gonna have a little more sass and. I have arrived, and he like comes out like a very even more sassy C-3PO, but also like I'll kill you in a second, but I'll do it smiling. Hi,
C-3PO meets Sonny.
Yes,
failsafe.
I guess
you wouldn't.
I know, but I'll pretend failsafe for sure. Anyway,
her crew died horrific deaths, and so she split her personality, her emotion wheel off of her. So now she's super sarcastic and also super depressing at the same time.
At the same time. Sounds like me. I'm just kidding.
You would love Failsafe.
I bet I would. Look, maybe
Along
I'll
with-
get into it, but we'll
Just,
see.
Just try it.
Just try it. Just try
Anyway,
it. Peer
we'll
pressure
have
is
the
still
conversation-
real.
We'll have this conversation later. Anyway. But yeah, they'd get it. They'd bring it back to Nexus where they can... To a room where they have access to a control panel, and they plug it in and
Have you seen Titan AE?
no.
Oh my gosh. That's a great one. You should watch it. Lauren, if you ever listen, I know you love it. So I'm not, but I love that's the kind of hope the crew stays alive though, except for all the bad guys.
They're hoping. They keep hope alive while they're doing this.
So the Nexus station though is going to die. Like, is
You'll
it
see.
okay?
You'll see. I have an idea, but that would spoil it. Spoil what's going on. Basically, what they would do is they would have to plug it in. They'd look through, and they wouldn't be able to understand it. And Nexus would say, something to the effect of, "Oh, he's clever. That is one clever man. We can do this." And she turns off the rings. She says, come to my power core at the center. They go to the center, to the nexus of Nexus. And there will be a nice big viewing window of the dying star, and Nexus would say, "This is going to take a lot of power, but we can do this if you're ready." And she'd direct them to grab a few of the nodes, and she would, it would turn off the rings around it. The rings would stop moving. They'd kind of lock into place, power down, all the lights would shut off, and the crew would look up, be super confused, and then they'd look out the window. Maybe it's Kara, or maybe the captain. He needs a moment to shine.
He does need a moment to shine.
Captain looks out the window, points, and says, "Look." And they look, and around this dying star is another one of those big structures with 6 massive rings around it.
Oh. Another Nexus?
Not connected to it, but yeah. And Nexus would say, the nodes work by transporting matter from one place to to another. What if... And Dr. Quinn would say something to the effect of, what if that matter had nowhere to go? And it was just transported out with no destination. Kind of, cease to exist, if that makes sense.
What if we made it... Okay, no, you go. I've been kind of thinking of a way to appease more of our science fiction nerds. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so kind of...
Yeah.
What... So these Nexus...
It would be these nodes would be used, these ones in particular, wouldn't shut down the whole system. Mm-hmm. But these nodes would be used to transport the
dying star.
Nexus. It would transport Nexus and the dying star into the realm between matter. Kind of almost like a pocket plane. Almost like in D&D, kind of the
pocket
astral
dimension.
sea.
Yeah. So basically, I'm kind of imagining, to kind of put it in another way of thinking, we are siphoning the star throughout so many spaces that it just, like, imagine a big ball of yarn, and it's just a whole bunch of yarns, and imagine you had a bunch of little spools just slowly unraveling it. You just grab multiple strings and it just spreads it so thin that it just...
It'd be more like it's teleporting, and it teleports, and it's in teleportation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's got nowhere to go.
Yeah. So no, and imagine, so like think of it that way though, that since they're all kind of teleporting at the same time, the spool effect, it kind of gets stuck and it's gone. Just because it's getting teleported at the same time, so many different places and going about so many ways, it just gone. So sorry, my camera was like hello ish, and that's just how that's what I'm trying to make.
You'll get a different image when I explain.
Okay, sorry.
Other Captain Marcus will say, what do we do? Nexus will say, well, that's the hard part. You have to get onto those rings and put the nodes in manually. So they'll do that. It'll be super difficult. We'll lose one of our members, probably the AI, just because.
Hold on to the AI for a second, but maybe. But
lose one of the members, not Dr. Quinn. I don't want to lose Kara, but maybe Kara. It might have to be Kara because I don't want to lose the captain either. Well, maybe we do lose the captain. I don't know. We lose someone. Maybe we don't have to at this point. But they put the nodes in on these rings, and when they get the final one, the teleportation happens, and Nexus, maybe the AI stayed back maybe 7X stayed back with Nexus to help direct the crew, saying, hey, you need to go down this hall, hang a right, it'll be there, blah blah blah. Maybe because he's the only one who can communicate with them at that point via like an intercom system in their helmets. They all get back. Maybe the captain gets lost at that point. Activating his node, he dies. The other two make it back, and Nexus says, I have 4 override switches that I need you to activate at the same time. So they'll activate them all at the same time. 7X will have to take 2 of them. He's an AI. He can split himself into 2 parts, maybe top and bottom, and he uses his foot to.
I kind of want to root with the whole crew being together. Okay, like I want it to be close. Maybe
let's.
Maybe we can have Maybe the doctor will save the captain this time.
Yeah,
like that would be kind of cool. Like she's kind of like, and maybe she gave off the
kind of the vibe,
the vibe that she would never. She'd like, I don't save people. Like I'm not. I'm
not that kind of.
I'm not that kind of. She's like, if you set your goal, and she even said, if we do what we need to, let's not try to save each other. And there's a point where like, he like, I imagine he gets trapped. He's like put the node in. He's activated it. It started, and he's like sitting there. He's trapped, and he's like totally accepted it. And they all had the discussion like, if you make it and you can't make it back, we can't risk it being with you. We can't risk you being together. But I imagine there's a point where, again, the doctor's very analytical, but she's had this big change of heart because she got to see where her father went. She got to know that her dad was thinking about her.
Her dad is the one that saved the universe.
Like he did make a difference, and he was much more. It wasn't just some freak accident. He was almost chosen, in a way. And I think that I just imagine there's just the pathway moment of safety, and she even like, and Nexus, and I imagine Nexus is always by them in some way, and she's like, Nexus, what are the chances of me being able to save the captain? Yeah, sweetie, it's
like a 5% chance of success.
So should I? And it's like, but sometimes, and I imagine, and I love the motherly.
Maybe Nexus doesn't give her a percentage. Maybe Nexus just says, it'll be hard, but sometimes you have to do hard things.
Yeah, like, I imagine they do say like, it's looking like 25%. It's about failure, but sometimes
you need to take that chance.
Yeah, and that would be just the sweetest thing. And then we just see the cat, and like cuts away to the captain. He's just like ready for it, and we haven't made his backstory really, and that's okay. I just imagine that he always just wanted to be a node. Maybe he was a failing captain. Maybe he's failed missions to some degree. He almost got like demoted, like he's been wanting like a purpose, and then he's like sitting there, and then again Nexus is talking to him like, and she's like, I believe everything will be okay, don't worry, like you've done your purpose, you've fulfilled a great thing. And then we just hear grunting and you see the doctor. But again, sometimes a good crew is what you need, and you're like, oh dang it. So again, we have these, I want it to be a roller coaster of like sad, you're like dang it, and then the crowd gets hopeful again. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
so
that works.
I do want all four to be together.
They're all together, they all turn the keys, activate it, and they shift. They teleport halfway, so it fades out of our universe into a space between universes, and then fail-safe again. Nexus says something to the effect of, I'm glad I'm going out with people that are willing to sacrifice everything for everything. Something to that effect. And maybe Dr. Quinn says, well, maybe I believe that this big bang will start a new universe, something like that. And we can have conversations, whatever our cutesy, funsy conversations that are our, last words. And then the Nexus star will explode and create a new universe.
So is it going to wipe all of us? Oh.
It wipes out Nexus and the crew, and we get the whole Rogue One scene where
white flash,
where there was the white flash. We can see the wall of white coming towards them, and they're all standing there hugging each other or whatever, watching it come, and it wipes out, and we flash. At that point, between two images, we'll flash back to our original crew, not crew, but the original Earth and everybody on Earth, and we'll have the voiceover talking about how intergalactic travel was amazing. It spurred on great inventions and ways of thinking, and it just expanded the universe, the known universe. Sorry, no. And then we would cut to our new universe that has just been born out of another big bang, and we'll have the voiceover continue saying, and out of some terrible things, good things can come, like a phoenix born from the ashes.
Oh,
something cute like that.
No, and I like those. There's been quite a few movies like that, but I like this one. But hear me out on one thing. And again, you all are gonna just be yelling, "Well, I'm enough with the benevolent AI." Mm-hmm. What if? So I do want to ask: do the nodes still work after this? Mm-hmm. Okay. Because a part of me was kind of like, maybe the nodes don't work, and it's going to encourage us to. And I mean, what I imagine is the Nexus station was
just a place for repair and building the nodes, as well as preparing for the eventuality of.
So that's why I kind of think that the nodes wouldn't work, but I think that they'd be able to be like, even though the nodes Nexus left us, like Nexus, the nodes don't work anymore. It didn't take us too long to repair and find something new, but it just never felt the same. Something like that. I want just to give the hint that Nexus is gone as well.
I like that.
It's just something like it just felt off. But here's another thing. I love Nexus. I think this is probably my new favorite AI. I'm not joking. I love the idea of this ancient, old, benevolent AI. Like this character would be so much fun, because I'm sick of Ultron and how I love them, but this one would be
benevolent and
it's benevolent, it's beautiful, it is in a way this God being. Anyway, I think there'd be a point, and there's a point where it's getting really suspicious of why these four were chosen. And this is going to be really cute. Just hold on and wait for me for a second. It would basically be like these three, I'm going to say three. The robot, you'll see in a second. These three were chosen for certain reasons. Our doctor was chosen because Nexus wanted her to say goodbye to her father. The captain, he wanted a redemption, and she felt that he was the best one to lead this and have a heart of gold. And then and I imagine, and it would hurt because I imagine she's like fairly young and she's really sweet. And she's like, well, why have I chosen? And it's like, because you have the best heart out of them all. Like, she just was so sweet. Like, everyone was always like, ugh.
A crew on a death mission needs someone to lighten their hearts.
Yeah, and I feel like Nexus, like, I chose you three. And they're like, well, why did you pick him? And they're like, well, that's just for selfish purposes. And it would be, and this is what I've been thinking of the whole time for this, and as Nexus would take over this robot and just give all of them a big hug while they all went out. I know that's really cheesy.
Okay.
And it would kind of be like the big surprise of like Nexus was actually that robot kind of the whole time. And it would just be really sweet if like Kara's just kind of tearing up and she's like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And then a soft, like a hand. And I imagine like, because I've been imagining that all these screens are some weird, it's not really a screen, it's something shifting and changing. And I imagine that this thing like comes over the robot and it's this person, not anything we can't really see anything from it, but it's just something that can hold them. And I just would love that it gives her a big hug and says, you are just the best person for this job. And I'm sorry. And I'm glad you all were able to do it. I'm so proud of all of you and that I'm not going to fail again. And you're like, oh, dang it. So, and I think it would just be beautiful. And it's like, and Nexus would just simply say, and I'm okay. And let's do this together. And it would be cute because I imagine that the zooming in on the new galaxy, we would just kind of zoom in, and very briefly in the middle would just be a little Nexus station. And then we kind of zoom inside the Nexus station and we hear hello, and then that would be the end. And Nexus is just starting again somewhere else. I
like it.
I think that would be kind of cute because Nexus would be the narrator at the end.
Yeah, Nexus would be the narrator.
And it'd be sad because they feel like they left there. And again, I'm not trying to make Nexus this god, but if this being is so old and has been watching all of life in this galaxy and is like preparing to leave in order to save it, you don't think it's, oh, what if Nexus knew that was a thing? And it's like, why did you choose us? And Nexus simply just says, I didn't want to do it alone. And you're like, oh, gosh, dang it. So, I don't know. Either way, I'm like shaking because I love it.
I don't do sci-fi.
You don't, but I loved it. I have the like.
This is a story. This is one that I would watch. This is one I would watch.
I have adrenaline pumping through me because I loved it. It was kind of how I felt when I watched like The Wild Robot recently. Like this is really cute. This is really good. Good job. And I'm glad you brought this up. This was a good story to do.
Thanks for your input.
You're welcome. I'm always willing to make it more. I like this one. Man, that was really good.
Good.
Oh,
I'm glad.
I'm satisfied with my care. That's an hour and a half. That's that first episode of the year, and I think that is. Let's keep on this roll. I think very soon. I'm not saying this next week, but very soon, I think it's time for me to follow up on. Yeah. Oh. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. So.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm excited.
All right. Well, any final thoughts from your end?
Not really. I mean, just as always, be kind, love each other. Instead of trying to make the world a better place, try to make the universe a better place.
Absolutely. I regardless of whether it's a benevolent AI or a benevolent being, I think that just the idea of we don't need something benevolent out there to know that we can be kind to each other. So I thought that was awesome. And this was a really good way. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah,
and
Happy New Year.
until next time, we will see your later pitches. Bye.
Goodbye.